Good morning once again, my brothers and sisters. Here we are for another Living Hope Today's study. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. Today we're crossing over into two chapters, Genesis 29 and 30. And there's been, a change in plans. Remember, Rebekah sends Jacob, well, Isaac sends him too, to Haran to look for a wife, and of course he finds Laban in Haran, and Laban has two daughters, Leah and Rachel, and Laban tricks Joseph. Joseph works, did I say Joseph? Man, here I go. Jacob. Laban tricks Jacob, and because I guess it's really dark at night and the bride is veiled, Jacob ends up sleeping with Leah without understanding it's not Rachel. Okay, so the next day, he's now received Laban's older daughter, Leah, as his wife. They make a deal where a week later, Jacob gets Rachel as his wife as well. Okay, but now we get into what I've affectionately called the competition of conception here. Here it comes. As we ended last time, we saw that Jacob lay with Rachel also. So now he's got two wives, and he loved Rachel more than Leah. So at the beginning of this story, we're told about the heart of Jacob, but we're going to find something fascinating about that today in terms of how God works. All right? Remember, Leah, she can't see very well. Her eyes are bad. Rachel, she's just beautiful. Okay, Jacob is smitten, as we say. Okay, so he works for Laban for another 7 years as part of the bargain to be able to marry Rachel. Okay, when the Lord saw that Leah was not loved, man, look at this. God is paying attention. He sees that Leah is kind of a throwaway bride in Jacob's mind. She's not loved. He opened her womb. All right? Hey, Rachel, you're not going to have kids. Rachel was barren. But Leah, you're going to have kids. The Lord looks at her and has mercy. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She named him Reuben, for she said, "It is because the Lord has seen my misery." And then look at how sad this is. Reuben is his name. Surely my husband will love me now. She, with all her heart, wants to be loved. Doesn't seem to be in Jacob's heart to love her. Too bad. The story moves forward. She conceived again. When she gave birth to a son, she said, "Because the Lord heard that I am not loved, he gave me this one too." So she named him Simeon. All right? She's well aware that God is interested and knows all about her circumstance. She has a second son. Again, she conceived. So when it tells us that the Lord opened her womb, one, just understand God has the power to do that. Of course, we know that. He can do anything. But we see it at play here in this story. And now she's on her third son. She conceived, and when she gave birth to a son, she said, "Now at last my husband will become attached to me, because I have borne him 3 sons." And she named him Levi. Now, what we know in retrospect is God is basically sprouting the family tree. We're about to end up with 12 tribes that will become the 12 tribes of Israel, right? Through these boys that are being born here in Genesis 29 and 30. All right, we're up to boy number 3, verse 35. She conceived again. And when she gave birth to a son, she said, "This time I will praise the Lord." So she named him Judah. Then she stopped having children. Now remember that this is obviously 9 months at a time, times 4. This is over a period of years. Leah keeps having sons. Rachel keeps having none. I'm sure there's consternation in Rachel's heart. In fact, in verse 1 of chapter 30, we read, when Rachel saw that she was not bearing Jacob any children, she became jealous of her sister. So she said to Jacob, give me children or I'll die. Again, very dramatic verse. She's thinking about death because she can't produce. But I want you to see something that God does here, okay? Jacob knows that this isn't about him, right? He says, he gets mad at her. He became angry with her and said, am I in the place of God who has kept you from having children? This isn't up to me, right? I mean, Jacob has obviously proven his fertility. Rachel, what's going on? It's not up to me. I can't make you have children, right? He defends himself in that way. Okay, so now, just like when we're waiting for the birth of Isaac, we start to come up with alternative plans when it takes a long time. Well, here we go. Then she said, here is Bilhah, my maidservant. Okay, it wasn't uncommon at all for people in those days to have maidservants. All right, Rachel has one. Her name's Bilhah. Rachel says, sleep with her so that she can bear children for me, and that through her I too can build a family. All right, same thing Sarah did when Sarah told Abraham to sleep with Hagar. Now we see Rachel telling Jacob to sleep with Bilhah. So she gave him her servant Bilhah as a wife. So now Jacob's got 3 wives. His mom sent him up there to find a wife. Now he's 3 wives deep. Jacob sleeps with her, and she became pregnant and bore him a son. Everybody's having son in this conception competition. Rachel says, God has vindicated me. He has listened to my plea and given me a son because of this. Doesn't say Bilhah named. Doesn't say Jacob named. No, she named him Dan. All right. Another son is born. The story continues. Rachel's servant Bilhah, again, here we go again, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Then Rachel said, I have had a great struggle with my sister, and I have won. In other words, all this for Rachel is a competition with Leah. And now she's proclaiming victory, and she names her son, well, really Bilhah's son, Naphtali. All right, the story keeps going. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took her maidservant, Zilpah. Oh man, the competition's heating up here. And she gave her to Jacob as his wife. So now, Jacob's on wife number 4. Babies everywhere except for one place. Rachel's still barren. That's the one he really loves. Remember, Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a son. Seems like everybody except Rachel can get pregnant at the drop of a hat, and everybody has a son. Then Leah said, what good fortune. So she named him Gad. All right, we're starting to fill out the 12 tribes. Leah's servant Zilpah bore Jacob a second son. Man, kids everywhere. Then Leah said, how happy am I? So Rachel has declared victory a few weeks ago, or a few verses ago, and now Leah's declaring victory. She's happy. The women will call me happy, so she named him Asher. Wow. I mean, just look at what's happening here. Chaos, in one sense. I mean, obviously, when Rebekah sent Jacob to Haran to find a wife, I'm sure she didn't have in mind that Jacob would take 4 wives. And I don't think God endorses 4 wives, even in this story. Monogamy is God's design, not polygamy. And polygamy always leads to heartbreak and trouble, which Jacob is experiencing a little bit now, but I think it's going to get worse. But just to break this down for you a little bit, let's follow this chart. There's our buddy Jacob. He's the patriarch. He's in God's plan. He's going to, through his heritage, end up blessing all nations of the world by bringing the Christ into the world. Okay, so deceptively or not, he ends up sleeping with Leah because she's the firstborn daughter. Laban gives her to Jacob first. What happens? Well, she has Reuben, she has Simeon, she has Levi, and she has Judah. Now, just a little side note for you. When you get to Judah, you need to understand something. All right? For Jacob, his marriage to Leah was a mistake. He never wanted that. For God, his marriage to Leah was exactly right. Because Judah is the one who is going to become the patriarch of the descendants that will lead to the Christ. God will bring Jesus into the world through the lineage of Judah. All right? Judah is born to Leah, the one who is unloved. Amazing. But as the story went forward, just to keep context going here, Bilhah is given to Jacob. That's Rachel's maidservant. She has Dan. She has Naphtali. And so in the competition, Leah offers Zilpah to Jacob. Okay, he has Gad, or she has Gad and Asher. All right. We're going to see this competition heat up as we continue on next time. But just for now, just notice Rachel is barren. So we've got 8 kids here, 8 boys, but Rachel, none. All right? You have to really appreciate how important childbearing was in that day and age to appreciate the angst and the heartbreak and the misery Rachel's endured. Even though she says she's won the competition, she's obviously way behind. And personally, her score is 0 as we come to the end of our passage today. Reuben, Leah says, behold a son. That's his name. Simeon, God has heard me. All right? She understands he's come from God and answered her prayer. Levi, the name for Levi means attached. Notice, please, and we'll see this as the Old Testament unfolds before us, that Levi will eventually be the tribe from which the priests are selected. He will turn out to be the priestly tribe, the tribe that doesn't receive land in the promised land because they're the priests. Well, I'm getting ahead of myself. Judah, his name means praise, and his name is the name through which the Messiah comes. Notice God. God says, hey, Leah, the one who is unloved, is the one who's going to keep my promise moving by being the one through whom the descendants of Jesus come. All right, that's where it's going to happen. If you get to Dan, his name is vindicated. You get to Naphtali, he's named My Struggle, would be the transliteration of that name. Gad is called Fortune. Asher is called Happy. And we still have 4 to go to get up to 12. Well, we'll catch that next time. I just want you to understand that there's a lot of things in life where the circumstances don't look like they have order. It doesn't look like it's from God. How can we have 4 wives and there 3 out of 4 so far are having sons? What's this all about? How is God's promise going to be delivered through all these sons? What roles will they play? In the end, what we have to understand is God is still delivering on his promises despite what appears to be circumstantial chaos, right? A conception competition. No matter how the emotions of our lives, bend us in certain directions, we have to remember God is still fully in charge, sovereignly in control over it all to lead us to accomplish his purpose. All we have to do is follow him. I pray you serve him well today, church. God bless you.
Lord, we give you glory.